Hey guys, and welcome to the Alabama Saltwater Fishing Report presented by Angelo Depaola, the Coastal Connection with eXp Realty. The first podcast to bring you the local inshore, offshore, and onshore fishing report, whether it's good, bad, or ugly. Welcome back to the Alabama Saltwater Fishing Report. I am your host, Butch Thierry, and I'm joined today with my intro with my buddy over at the Northwest Florida Fishing Report, Joe Baya. How we doing today, Joe?
Man, listening to this wind howl, it's not good for turkey hunting. It's not good for fishing. I guess all we can do is talk about fishing today, but that's all right too.
Better than nothing, man.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Talking about fishing is better than not talking about fishing and not fishing.
But you're right, man. The weather's been crazy. I feel like it's been blowing a gale for about a month now.
You know, it on Wednesdays. It is. Yeah.
True.
So for 1 month of Wednesdays, we've had gale force winds, and then the weekend's fine. It looks like we're going to get another little window here. Cobia showing up over here on the Emerald Coast. Yesterday was a real good day. Lots of fish caught. It's time, man. You know, you just got to pick those weather windows and get on out there.
Yep, I agree, man. Whenever I start thinking about cobia, I start thinking about those on the beach. I also start thinking about those billy brim. I don't know about you.
Man, don't talk about my tripletail blackfish as well. You know, I grew up calling them blackfish. Now, you know, I'm over here in Florida. I got to call them a tripletail.
Oh, fancy over there.
But man, talk about a great fish, and my personal favorite.
Yeah,
just great eating, great fighters, just kind of mystical in the way that they act. And, you know, we don't know a whole lot about them, and that's pretty cool. Another really cool reason why this tournament is starting up. So what are we talking about today with this new tripletail tournament?
Yeah, man. Today we have Jay O'Brien joining us. He is the captain and owner over at Irish Wake Fishing, and he really gets after those tripletails. So I'm excited to talk to him today. Welcome to the show, Jay. How we doing?
I'm good. Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, man. So today we're here to talk about the Tripletail Championship.
Yeah, it's a new tournament we're starting here May 1st. It's going to be a 6-month long championship nationwide to find out who the best tripletail anglers in the nation are.
Man, I'm not sure I want to go up with some of these guys. I'm not sure if I have what it takes. What do you think, Joe?
I think the cool thing about tripletail is that there are definitely guys that know how to get after them. But there's just always that chance that you could just catch a 30-pounder just floating by just any old piling, you know?
So, I mean, how many times has the rodeo been won by the guy in the trout skiff coming back from the West End and comes across one and catches them with 10-pound tests?
That's right. Yeah. I mean, they're such a cool fish. You just don't know. And it is going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see if one of the really avid guys gets the one, or if it just turns out to be blind luck. I guess that's kind of the
nuance. Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
The mystery.
But if it makes you feel better, Butch, we've got the average Joe category too. So all of our everyday anglers have something to shoot for as well. And it's going to have a nice hefty payday as well.
Yeah. So yeah, speaking of that, Jay, why don't you give us a kind of a rundown of the tournament format first and foremost?
Okay. We've got 3 main categories. One is longest fish. The next one is most fish caught. But all those fish have to be over 18 inches. We don't want people targeting juvenile fish for sake of entering into the tournament. And then the third category is a cumulative inches of fish caught over 18 inches. And those 3 categories will be combined together in a point system that will crown an overall grand champion. And then outside of that, that's the nationwide stuff. Outside of that, we have an average Joe category, which is going to be whoever gets the closest to the average length of all the fish measured. And that it depends on how many people join in the tournament, how many places we pay out there. But those will pay out pretty nice as well. And then we're going to have regional categories as well. Right now, we've got it divided into Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi. Florida's divided into basically kind of like the Gulf Coast, Florida South, and then the Florida Atlantic side. And then we've had a couple of people reach out to us from Georgia and South Carolina and express some interest too. So we may end up expanding into those states as well. But
that's cool. Yeah, there's like Brunswick, Georgia. That's a sleeper area for tripletail. Sure. There's people catching tripletail in places you don't think. You know, like you're fishing the Mobile Bay area. You know, tripletail fishing has become really popular in the Mobile Bay area in the last couple of decades. But you know, there's always been those guys that have focused on that fish, and it's still that way in some parts of the country. You know, where there are the local avid guys, but the fishery itself is not really blossomed the way it has there in Mobile Bay. That's cool to hear. I like that format of having lots of different ways to win this thing. You know, it's not just about being, catching the biggest one. It could be about catching the most, or just getting lucky like you say, with that average Joe category.
And that's what we wanted. We wanted something that could be, give everybody a reason to enter the tournament. And we don't have a quote unquote kids division, but we've got a place where if people want to register their kids, because we had one father reach out to us and he said he wanted to register his son because he just wanted to drive and let him fish. And we said, that's fine. We can get enough kids in it, then we'll have a separate little category. So that if they register a child, they check a box and say they're under 18, and then they're going to have their own. They're going to be competing in the regular divisions, but we're going to have a little separate side kind of prize pot for the kids if we get enough kids into it.
Very cool. I like the subcategory, man. I think this is going to be really fun. You guys can just go ahead and write a check out to me if you want.
Right. Well, you're going to enter the kids category. Is that what it is?
That's right.
That's the
only thing I can win is definitely the kids for sure.
Right.
Yeah, I can't compete with anybody around my age.
No, I don't know. I saw that new sled out there. It looks. I've seen that one on the water for many years, and she's got some good karma on her.
We can blame that on Captain Richard Rutland. Last year, you were out there too. We were texting pictures that day. I caught that 24 and that 27. That's why that's in the driveway. I got hooked for sure.
So, Jay, take me through, how the payouts are going to work out too, because that's a kind of an interesting format you got going there.
Yeah, we've got prizes, and we're going to be paying back all the cash to the winners after the expenses. And so if you go to the website and you see the rules, if you scroll down, the percentages will break out, and the number of places will break out, and it's all dependent upon how many people enter. So obviously, we want to blow this thing up big. We want a lot of participation so we can pay out as many places as we can and pay out as much money as we can.
Yeah, that's very cool. And also, I guess, too, in addition, that's kind of one of the different things is you got this longer format, and you've got basically the more people that get involved in this, the more the payout's going to be. But also, this is a no-kill tournament, right?
That's correct. So, being across, spanning such a large geographical area, the only way to keep a constant, with the, fish was to go length. But we didn't want to have a 6-month, promoting a 6-month kill tournament, because that's not, what we're about. We want to, be responsible with the resource. We're not telling people they can't kill a fish. We're telling them if they want to enter into the tournament, they're not going to kill that fish. So they're going to have to be judicious. I mean, it's 6 months. You got plenty of time to catch some fish to keep to eat, and you got plenty of time to fish, the tournament and put some back. And we just want to promote, a mentality of catch what you need and release the rest kind of deal. And that way everybody can have a good summer, because I know you guys both have tripletail fished before, and you've also seen what's happened to it over the past 5 to 10 years, and the popularity has exploded. Yeah.
I mean, like what you're talking about there is resource stewardship. It's not,
that's right.
It's not preservation. We're not saying don't kill a fish, and that's what we talk about a lot on all of our podcasts is like, man, trust me, I've kept a limit of fish. I'm not telling you not to go keep a limit of fish, but when you've got enough, you've got enough. And like you said, we're out here competing for points and pride and money, and men will die for points. So, when you start adding money into the mix, and then you're saying, all right, we're going to focus on big tripletail, big breeding tripletail, I think you're doing the right thing by saying, hey, we're going to make this a no-kill tournament. And that way, we're not putting an inordinate amount of stress on the fisheries all over just so somebody can win a tournament.
That's
I definitely
right.
agree.
And speaking of pride, the grand champion, the trophy for that, I'm still got my fingers crossed is going to work out, but I've got something pretty big in the plans for that I hope will come through. I had a great idea. COVID challenges have made it a little hard to. I didn't realize it was going to be as hard to implement as I thought, but it will be. The concept we're going to have there is going to be really neat if we can pull it off. So hopefully I can share that with y'all later if it works out.
Very cool. So what's the entry fee? I really like the idea of a 6-month long tournament, because you just don't have that 1 or 2 days to be able to put all your eggs in one basket.
Exactly. That's I kind of got that idea. One, because last year I had somebody hire me for a local tripletail fly fishing tournament, and we went out. I think they had to postpone it the first time. Then the date they postponed because of weather. Then the date they postponed it to had decent weather, but the wind was blowing like it's been for the past month. And it was miserable fishing conditions. And to stretch it out over 6 months, doesn't give that demolition derby. You got to go out and risk peril and that sort of thing. And it allows people to, do it at their leisure and as much or a little as they want, because like you said, you can win any category and going out one day. I mean, I've already got one of my customers. He's, charged me for 2 days this year. He bought ticket into the tournament just because he's going to fish those 2 days. And that's it out of the 6 months.
That's worth it. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. And you can win. I mean, you can win by just going one day, but also if you're avid and you get after them, you can kind of
go after those inches and those points.
Right. The cumulative results of a summer, like for you, Butch, that would be like 2 tripletail,
Yeah. Well, I mean, in the inches, yes, because they're so big. The ones that I catch are so big. There's so many inches, it just adds all up, and I just win.
No, you're backing up now.
So, how much is the entry fee, Jay?
The entry fee, if we've got a couple different things going on there. So the entry fee right now is $250 if you sign up before May 1st, which is when the tournament starts. If you sign up after May 1st, it goes up to $300. And your shirt is not included if you sign up after May 1st. So really would encourage people to sign up before May 1st to get the discounted fee and to get the shirt. But we also have a promotion going on right now too, that if you register before midnight on April 18th, you're going to get entered into a drawing for basically one person will have their entry fee rebated back to them. So, if you're going to get in, I would strongly suggest registering before midnight on April 18th so that you can get entered into that drawing. We already gave away a custom Calcutta pole that Don Gaucher out of Mississippi donated to us. That was the first giveaway we did to some early entrants. And that's a pretty cool story. Jordan Todd, who's over in your neck of the woods, Joe, he ended up winning that Calcutta pole.
Oh, yeah.
But the backstory to that was I did a drawing like this one time for my charter, and my daughter botched it. She pulled 2 names and opened them both up on a live. So my son, I told him he could do it this time, and I was scared he follows directions worse than my daughter. So I was scared he was going to mess it up. So we did a practice run, and then he does it perfectly. And the name he pulls out is the one guy that's like called me, wearing me out, asking me, when's this drawing going to be? I really want that pole. And he picked his name. I felt so terrible because he picked his name, and that was the test run. Then we go out and do the drawing, and Jordan wins. I tell Jordan about it, the whole story, that I had to tell my buddy that, hey, you got picked on the practice run, but you didn't win it. And he's like, you know what? Let him have it if he wants it, because he said he was going to go buy one. He said, just sell it to him and put the money back in the tournament. And so that's what Jordan did. And Jordan ended up ordering one from Don anyways, because he wants one anyways, because that's how he grew up fishing for him. So it's just a cool all around karma deal with the tournament.
Very cool. Yeah. And if folks are looking for somebody to put them on a big triple tail over in Indian Pass, Apalachicola area, call Jordan up. He's on them over there for sure. So, well, man, that just sounds like an awesome tournament. First, before we jump into like the dates that this is going to run, I know you mentioned it's going to be a six month long tournament. We'll get into the dates and the prizes here in just a minute. But man, what's your love affair with triple tail? I remember the first one I caught, and that really stoked a fire within me to focus on fishing for them. I had probably a solid decade where I just didn't fish for anything but triple tail. Dad and I had to have a little intervention at one point. We were kind of like, all right, maybe we should try fishing for something else again, but what is it with you and triple tail, and why'd you start this tournament?
So, I mean, the first time I ever saw triple tail was at a tournament weigh-in, and I didn't know what it was. And I just remember looking at it and thinking it looked pretty cool. I was like, man, I asked the guy, I said, what is that? And he told me, I said, well, how'd you catch it? He goes, I just went out there and caught it.
Yeah.
Just tight-lipped.
Real specific.
Yeah, didn't want to talk about it. I mean, it was almost like he didn't want to weigh it in because he didn't want people to know he was catching them. Yeah. So I started, prying, and found out at the time, it was a real closed culture. Nobody wanted to talk about it. Nobody wanted to teach you. And I remember going out by myself, catching my first triple tail by myself. And I was in the Mobile Ship Channel, and I hooked into this fish, and I didn't know what I was doing. It was a complete cluster. And all of a sudden I'm sitting there on the bow of my boat by myself fighting this fish, and I hear this loud horn in the background, and this ship is about to mow me down. And I have to jump back in the cockpit and drag the fish off to the side of the channel and caught it. And, from that point I was hooked.
Yeah.
I mean, even to this day, I mean, I don't even know how many, probably thousands of them that I've caught after the number of times I've been over my life, but I still can look at that fish. I mean, it's almost like a mutual respect thing. I look into that fish's eyes, and I love to eat them. And it's hard for me to kill them now, because I look in that fish's eyes, I'm like, you just gave me a worthy battle. You made it hard on me. I mean, some of them make it easy on you, but some of them, they're so hard to fool and to get them to bite. And you get that bite, then you're fighting them. And there's so many things that can go wrong. I mean, I filled my cockpit with a foot of water before trying to get one off a structure, and we landed it, and we were all high-fiving. And I was like, all right, everybody hold on. I got to put the boat on plane so we get this water out of here. But I mean, it's just the excitement. Everyone's different. And it's not like typical fishing. You're hunting. You're trying to find that fish, and then you're trying to fool them, and you're trying to win the battle. And then at the end of the day, I swear, I don't know if I'm getting soft as I'm getting older or what, but I look at that fish and they look at me like, come on, you can put me back. And those big girls, I got a soft spot for them, and I have to put them back.
Yep. Yeah. That's pretty cool. We talk about that, though. Joe and I talk about all the time is the progression you go through as a fisherman, just kind of going through that stage of killing a few. And then you start getting to the, you're being a steward of the fishery, and you get excitement out of that too. It's just a funny progression as you become a fisherman and as you get older.
Yeah, I mean, I tell people all the time, you go from wanting to figure out how to catch a fish, then you want to figure out how to catch a bunch of fish, then you want to catch the biggest fish, then you go back to you're just happy to catch a few fish.
And then you want to learn about them and learn about their migration patterns, and you get into tagging. It's just a whole big progression, which I enjoy.
Yeah. Well, and hopefully, like I said, going back to the no-kill, again, I've eaten a pile of Tripletail. I love to eat them too. They're great eating and all that. But hopefully, Tripletail can be a success story before we have to, we don't have to have this discussion of, well, this is how good it was, and then it sucked. And then we had to have all these regulations to come back in and restore the fishery. And now they're this success story. Let's just have good fishing and keep it that way, So
and that's why I came up with
like
the idea of doing the tournament. I was sitting around Christmas time taking care of my kids, and the idea kind of came to me. I said, you know what? We as fishermen need to take the responsibility of being stewards of our resource. And this is a way that we can, I can give back for something that's been so good to me that I enjoy so much. And, I can give back and try to put this on and create that, fostering that mentality of, being stewards of our resource. So they're there for our kids, our grandkids, and, for future generations after that.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Well, it's going to be a great tournament. I can already tell, because you are focusing on the best fish in the Gulf, and in the Atlantic for that matter. But for that being said, when does it start? You mentioned those early bird incentives to go ahead and get registered, but when does the fishing officially start, and when does it end?
So starts May 1st. If you do not get registered ahead of time, you can register during the tournament, but you have to register a full 24 hours in advance of capturing a fish to enter into the tournament. So that's important to remember if you don't register before it starts. And then it will conclude on October 31st.
Very cool. And you mentioned those payouts. Yeah. What about, I know you got a bunch of great sponsors and some cool prizes.
Yeah. So we're paying back all the cash, as we talked about, after expenses to the winners. And then we also have some prize packs. KillerDock has donated a fish cleaning station that's going to go to the branch. The greatest fish cleaning station known to mankind.
Obviously,
they're donating a cleaning station that's going to go to the grand champion. Then we've got our title sponsor, which is L&amp Boatworks and Stewart Boatworks, that have donated to the prizes. And then we've got the Cajun Custom Rods. They've donated rods to the prize packs. We've got Smith Optics that's donated some sunglasses to the prize packs. Got Chandelier Brewing. They've donated some prizes to the prize packs. We've got
great
saltwater. It is.
There they are.
And a cool place if you're on the Mississippi coast to go visit. Mm-hmm. And we've got the Saltwater Fanatics that have donated some prize packs to the prizes as well. So we got a couple more that we're working with and talking with that we're about to finalize that are going to add some more. And then we've also got Fins Apparel that is coming on board. Talked to them today, and they're going to be donating some stuff towards the tournament. So we've got a lot of neat, interesting prizes to go along with all that cash we're going to be giving away.
Very cool, man. Yeah, y'all go check out Tripletail Championship.com. Make sure you go ahead and get registered. Don't wait till the last minute on this thing, because it's it's time right now. They're here, most likely. They're already here.
I saw some pictures the other day.
Yeah, really? we can't get out because of this wind, but I guarantee you they're here. And all right, you know how we have to leave every segment on this show, Jay. So we got to get a tip from you, man. So what do you think is the most important thing for somebody who's going to be fishing the Tripletail Championship this summer? What's your one piece of advice, your golden nugget, pearl of wisdom for Tripletail fishing?
as
like
far
it.
as a tactic, or
Putting
as
him
far
on
as
the spot, I like
how to win the tournament?
He's thinking.
I know. Can't give away too much, but I need to give away just enough.
Right.
No,
Just
but
let it come.
are we talking
just
about
let it.
as far as a strategy to win the tournament, or just tactics for fishing?
Oh man, I got to go with win the tournament.
So I think you've got to decide what your ballywag is. Are you in an area where there's a lot of numbers and you can go after the most fish caught and most cumulative inches? Because that's 2 of the 3 categories going towards winning the grand championship. Or are you in an area that, you don't catch quite as many fish as you might have heard about down the road, but you have some really nice quality fish, and you need to get out there and catch those big fish and start, accumulating your points that way. I think that's the key to, you got to lay out your game plan based on your geography. And I've got some guys that have told me too, and I think it's a brilliant idea. They're going to travel, because you can fish anywhere in the country. And if you're fishing Louisiana, you can enter fish into that territory contest. If you're fishing in Florida, you can enter them into that territory contest. So there's one guy, he already wrote me. He told me he's going to be traveling and fish multiple territories based on when the fishing's hot.
It's going to follow that migration.
Yeah, pretty much.
I like it.
And so I think that's what you got to lay out. If you're dead set on winning the tournament, I think you've got to lay out which categories you're going to go after and how you're going to and stick with that. And I fished a similar format Tripletail tournament like this one time, but it was only a weekend deal. But that was the first time I ever fished it, and that was the mistake we made, is we went after everything instead of deciding how we wanted to attack it. And
pinpointing your niche. I like that. That's a pretty good tip there, Joe. Since you put him on the spot,
since I put him on the spot about how to win the tournament, now I want to know what's some Tripletail secrets. So I'll ask you one thing: what is the best Tripletail bait if you can't use a big live shrimp?
Ooh, I was about to say that's going to be my go-to right there.
You see a Tripletail, you didn't know you were going to see one. You're out there, you see a floater. You don't have a big live shrimp.
In the tower.
What are you going to do? What are you going to throw at him?
Didn't bring any live shrimp.
If I can see some pogies popping in the background, I'm going to go throw a cast net and try to find.
So you would actually leave that fish to find some live bait?
No. I said if I could see some pogies. There's never a moment that I'm on my boat that there isn't at least a fresh dead shrimp on that boat for that same reason.
There you go.
I used to keep a box of DOA, big cob DOAs.
Yeah.
That I would throw on a hook and throw out there. But now my boat does not leave the dock. If Tripletail are around, my boat does not leave the dock without some fresh dead, at a minimum, some fresh dead on the boat.
There's your answer. If you ain't got a fresh live one, you better have a fresh dead one. That's a good tip, man. You're exactly right too. And when you can get yourself some really big live shrimp, freeze them, put them in the freezer, freeze them individually, and have a couple on the boat ready to go.
Yep, it's amazing the difference it makes. Like you said, that's a good tip from you, is freezing them fresh, like right after they're dead.
Yeah. Well, Jay, man, I'm excited about this. I think it's going to be a good thing
I think it's
for
going
the
to be
fishery. A lot of fun, shine a light on a really cool fish, and hopefully stoke the fire for a lot of people that maybe hadn't given Tripletail the attention that they should just yet. And thanks for coming on with us today.
Well, thank y'all for having me, and I look forward to seeing y'all on the leaderboard.
Y'all get in. Yeah, heck yeah. Get those registrations in. Y'all guys go ahead and visit the website and get registered. All right, Joe. Well, I'll send you an application for you to be on my team.
Man, I'm really excited about this, because one, I love Tripletail. Two, I've never really had a reason to compete with them. You just don't want to beat up on the little people with this.
Right, for sure. Yeah, I'm definitely a professional. Yeah.
No, man, I tell you what, there's some really good Tripletail fishermen out there, and I do not put myself in that category. I love to chase them. And that being said, like we said, this is cool that there's some options out there, because certain fisheries, have smaller fish and certain fisheries have bigger fish, but this really allows you to compete whether you're
doesn't matter
in a big fish fishery or not.
Yeah.
For every place that's got maybe the smaller Tripletail, there can be a lot of them, so you've got that option, and you've got the ability to compete geographically. The other cool thing is that they've got some stuff in the works with this tournament where they're going to be working alongside and doing some research with these fish. It's not completely figured out yet, but that's coming down the line. And I think anytime you get an opportunity to catch this many of one species, that's a great opportunity to really learn something about them. We don't know a lot about Tripletail. Where do they go?
Yeah, I don't know.
Why do they come back?
I don't know. But I think you're right. Yeah. Jay was mentioning about, getting with some different institutes and some different organizations around here. And I do think it's cool. You get this many people fishing for one species that we want to learn more about. And like you say, we could be tagging them from, Texas all the way down to the tip and around the, Atlantic side of Florida. So it'd be some really cool data to see some recaptures on those fish.
Yeah, and I think everybody thinks they're the best tripletail fisherman, no matter where they
Right.
are. So it's gonna be fun to see who ends up coming out on top. Because like down in Tampa Bay, they've got a good fishery for them. Not as well known as some areas. Shoot, our guy over here in Northwest Florida, Brandon Barton, he catches them at night.
Oh, wow.
On the bridges over in Pensacola. So, there's a lot of different ways to catch them, a lot of different ways to target them, a lot of different fisheries out there, and they're a cool fish no matter where you go after them. So y'all check out this tournament. It's going to be a good one.
All right, folks, we have a great Alabama saltwater fishing report lined up this week. But first, let's see who's making the show possible. This week's Alabama saltwater fishing report is brought to you by Sportsman's Marine. Sportsman's Marine has an extensive tackle selection of anything that local anglers need for saltwater and freshwater fishing, as well as boating accessories. They have the largest selection of the slick lure in Mobile and Baldwin County. They have Atco, Pelagic, and Saltwater Fanatics apparel along with other local brands. Go check out their Edgewater, Wellcraft, and Vexus lines of boats. They offer engine services with 5-star Yamaha and Mercury mechanics. And also brought to you by Boaters List. Boaters List is your new reliable and fast resource designed to link everyone to everything on the water. If you own or run a boat, you know how difficult it can be to find the right company for the task at hand. Boaters List makes it easy to find the service that you are looking for. Locate anything from fuel docks to service repairs or rentals of large yachts, even down to paddle boards and all things in between. BoatersList.com will always strive to make it better on the water. All right, folks, after that Tripletail Championship talk, J.O. just could not leave, so he had decided to stick around today and help me co-host. Welcome to the show, Jay.
Well, thanks for having me, Butch.
Yeah, man, let's get into this thing. We're going to go down and get a kayak report from Rod Tillman. All right, Rod, welcome to the show, man. I know you guys started a new business over there, yakdix.com. We're going to talk about that a little bit after your report, but I know you've been doing some kayak fishing too, man. What you been up to down there?
Oh, man, just trying to go every chance I get. With the weather lately, it's hit
Definitely
and
been a
miss.
feat.
So
You've been bringing a sail with you to help you get back home?
That's not a bad idea.
Not a bad idea, actually. Have to look into that. Maybe we could offer that in a package as well.
That's right. Well, Rod, just tell us a little bit about what you've been catching and kind of where you guys target and where you've been.
I was lucky enough to catch my personal best slam, and it was Monday night. I went very early in the morning. It seems like the tides right now are so low. At daybreak in the morning, you have to either go super early at night and try to fish the lights, or you have to go later in the afternoon into the night. And that seems to be the key right now. Is a lot of the places you go in a kayak, if you try to go with too low of a tide, you're just going to be seeing a bunch of mud, hitting a bunch of bottom. But that's mainly the key right now. I've noticed that every time I go out, if that current is at a dead high or a dead low, there's no action, man. It's hard to find the fish during those times. So if you can catch it on a good steep in or steep out, and we've got some good tides coming with the moon cycle. So that's always an interesting time of the month. I know a lot of people try to get out and make the most out of this weekend.
Yeah, we were seeing the same thing the other day, Butch. I mean, the tide was way behind where it was supposed to be on the tide chart, but as soon as it stopped, bike shut down.
Yeah. I got to get out Monday with Captain Bobby, and he was like, well, I really want to be fishing over there. You see that mud flat over there? That's where I really want to be. He's like, there should be 3 feet of water over there. So it's been interesting for sure. So I feel that, Rod. Talked about that slam.
Yeah, got it on Dolphin Island, man. That's my favorite place to fish for a slam personally, because I've had success in the past there. It seems like it's got a little bit of everything you want in a smaller radius. In a kayak, you kind of pick a spot and you're there for the day, versus a boat, you can pick up and move around if you want. You got to have a plan when you get out there, and if it fails, a lot of times you have to go to a plan B, and you're just hoping there's somewhere in the close vicinity so you don't have to paddle or pedal too far.
Yep, for sure.
We've been getting some big fish on the lights though. My buddy and my partner Reno caught his PB trout, and then I turned around, went the other night, I caught my PB trout on the same light. So that's been working out for us. And then turned around, bite kind of died there. The fish left that light. They seem to move, from light to light at night. And I just kept trying to follow them and pick me up a redfish at the next one. And I've yet to catch a flounder on the light, but I'm sure it's possible. I had to go find him laying down in the creek.
So tell me more about what you're doing there as far as moving from light to light and following the fish. I don't do a ton of night fishing or kayak fishing. And so that's kind of interesting to me. You're following these schools as they're moving from dock to dock. Is that what you're saying?
Well, Sunday night, or was it? Let's see. No, it's Monday night, and we were actually going to go that afternoon. We started getting a little rained on, so we packed it back up. And I just had a feeling that the fishing was going to be good because there's supposedly, there were supposed to be storms rolling in for the rest of the week. And I just had a feeling, I had a hunch. It said that the wind was going to die down at 4. So I got out there at about 2 and was going to wait it out, but it turned out, it was calm. I found me a spot out of the wind, which is always key when you're in a kayak. And I just started making my way to the light, and I seen a lot of action on it. I mean, I make my way to this light exactly where my buddy told me he caught his trout. And I said, well, I'm going to go check that out first. It was perfect conditions for it. And sure enough, strolled up, got my personal best trout on it. And once I noticed that, the bait wasn't, because, the bait was literally jumping around underneath this light. I knew there were fish there. And once it died down, I moved to the next light and, fished it until, I guess, the current, really, when the current died down, so did the fish. And I kind of got myself situated for where I wanted to be whenever it started coming back in. And that was finishing it off with a flounder. We got 2 tournaments coming up that are slam tournaments for our fishing club that we're in. So we've been working on that the last couple times we go out.
Yeah, I've been seeing a lot of flounder coming from the island. It's been encouraging here recently.
Yeah, Tanner and Dylan have been catching a ton down there whenever they've been able to target them. Talking about fishing these lights at night, what are you using for bait? And are you trying to match the hatch, kind of seeing what's swirling around those lights, or what's your favorite bait to use down there?
When I went this last time, the water was real muddy. If it's clear, I like to use something a little more natural. But I was using it's a dark purple, and it's a couple local lures that we got to try out. It's from AM Fishing, and it's just a 3-inch curly tail, man. I threw that on there, and I threw them until I didn't have any more left. I threw the whole pack. I seemed like I'm gonna have to get me a little heavier setup for fishing those docks, because a couple of big fish really got away from me. And I was just throwing. Once I ran out of that, I switched to an egret wedge tail, which is just one of my favorite baits to throw. I heard that when I first started listening to the podcast, and I was like, let me check these things out. And now I've got them in just about every color.
Yep, those look good, man.
They throw off a wake.
Yeah, they do.
I find it whenever the water's muddy, you want to have as much vibration and scent. I'll slather the thing with Procure just about every 10 times I'll throw it.
Yep.
And it seems to help the fish find it. And also whenever you get them to bite, it seems like they'll hold it in their mouth longer if it's covered in Procure. They don't taste that plastic immediately and spit it back out. They'll try to take off with it and give you a little longer to get your hook set.
Yep, that's a great tip. That's a great tip. So you're talking about Reno being your partner, man. Let's talk a little bit about yakdix.com. Tell me a little bit about you guys' new business.
It's something we're really excited about, first and foremost, man. It's just it's really something we started as a hobby and just a passion we both share. But I rented a kayak for the deep sea fishing rodeo last year because I was in a paddle kayak at the time, and just had a couple of problems we ran into, whether it was distance or time, and it just wasn't easy as we'd like the process to be. So we got to thinking that maybe we could offer people who just want to bring a friend along or just want an extra kayak to take their buddies out. Maybe we could offer them up everything they need. We've got, first of all, we start off with your basic kayak rental. They're all hands free. They're pedal drives, so you got a free hand whether you want to take photos with your phone or you want to fish. It makes it a lot easier when you got pedals versus a paddle. And then from there we offer equipment packages. If you're coming down on vacation, you don't have anything with you, you're starting from scratch, we've got everything you need to get on the fish. Everything that we would bring on a trip, we've got it available for every kayak.
So y'all saw
So,
a service that nobody was offering and you'd had problems with and you solved the problem.
yes, sir. And
That's great.
it's also something that we just love to do. I mean, we've taken many friends out, and just you teach a man to fish, you feed him for a lifetime, So
That's right.
it's something we both enjoy doing, and here it is. We've decided that we're going to start a business. If they say if you love what you do, you'll never have to work a day in your life. So that's the main goal. But we just wanted to make it easy, and we also wanted to, cater to everybody's, individual needs, whether you wanted to base just the kayak to go, do a tour, or if you wanted, everything with tackle, fish finder, grips, nets, pliers. I mean, we've got it all dialed into a T. And then we'll also, if you choose, we'll join you and we'll guide you and take you out and show you how to catch the fish.
So Rod, you guys cover quite a wide geographical area along the coast, but we hadn't talked about how far offshore do you guys go with these kayaks?
We do offer different trips. We have an inshore trip, and then we have an offshore trip as well. If you want to go get some snapper, we can take you out. But you'd be surprised. You don't have to go that far off the shore to get them. It's just a little kayaking spot. I mean, a few people know about it, but we like to go out there, and we've had success catching snapper out there, and seems to be the ticket, man. It's actually towards Navarre, and
So nice little red snapper honey hole.
That'd be pretty fun, man. Catch the snapper on a kayak.
Get towed around a little bit.
It'd be pretty fun.
yeah, people are surprised, when they hear the different fishing that you can actually do on a kayak. I think it's something a lot of people just don't know about.
For sure. I've never done any of that offshore stuff.
But it's definitely fun to, in my opinion, and this is just my opinion, but it's more fun to catch a fish out of a kayak. They really just pull you around with them sometimes. They get away from you, seems like a little more often maybe, but it's a little Mobile Bay sleigh ride is what we like to call it.
I like it, man.
Old
Well,
Jack
that's great.
Crevalle take you on a big sleigh ride.
That's right.
Oh yeah.
Very,
Sounds
very
like
cool.
a one-stop shop for all your kayak and fishing needs.
Definitely very cool, man. I
Yeah.
was looking at the website earlier, and you guys will actually bring the kayak to the person, right? How far do you guys travel for that?
All right. So right now we're doing from Navarre to the Gulfport area, and we're we, like you said, you come, you show up, you hop on the kayak, everything's ready to go for you. You come back to the launch, you hop off of it, you take your fish for the day, and that it's as easy as that. We wanted to make it as easy as possible on people to and to get the most out of most people come, they're on vacation, they want to get the most time
For sure.
out of their days.
That's awesome, man. Well, congratulations on the new business, and we look forward to hearing from you guys again.
I appreciate it, buddy. It was great being on the show, man. I've listened for a long time, man. It's a real honor
I really appreciate that, man.
to get on here with you guys.
Thanks, Rod. If folks want to check out yakdix.com and rent a kayak and or get you guys and do a charter or a guided tour around the island, like you say, what's the best way to look you guys up?
We're on Facebook, but your best bet would be to go to yakdix.com, and you can book your trip and call us from there, and we'll go over everything you need to know or want to know, and we'll also suggest what maybe the best plan for you is.
Awesome,
And
man.
that's all you got to do is give us a call, man. We'll get you out there. Like I said, it's something we love to do, and it'd be our pleasure, literally. So
Very cool, man. Well,
Give us-
thanks for giving us a
look forward
report,
to
man.
doing some more reports with y'all as well.
Absolutely. Look forward to hearing from you next time.
Good talking to you, Rod.
All right, guys, that was a great segment. Let's take a quick break and hear from a few of this week's sponsors. That segment was brought to you by Bucks Island. They have new pontoon boats, bass boats, bow riders, and aluminum boats for sale. They provide boat service on all kinds of boats, even if they weren't purchased from Bucks. Visit them at 4500 Highway 77 in Southside, Alabama, or give them a call at 256-442-2588. And also brought to you by MB Ranch King. MB Ranch King hunting blinds and feeders are built to last right here in the USA. With durability and convenience in mind, MB Ranch King's maintenance-free blinds are constructed with high-grade steel and come in a variety of sizes to meet any hunter's needs. They offer high-quality, easy-to-use corn and protein feeders that can be filled with both feet on the ground. Call Kevin today for more info or a quote at 205-807-2937. MB Ranch King, built in the pursuit of perfection. All right, Captain Jay, let's head on down to Captain Patric Garmeson with Ugly Fishing. I'm not even going to try and pinpoint where this guy's been.
Old Positive Pat, he can find any ray of sunshine in the dismal conditions we've had lately.
We're going to need some ray of sunshine, I think, today. What you been up to, Cap?
Man, wherever I can fish where it isn't windy. That's it, man.
It's the name of the game, huh?
Yeah. I mean, and I actually, the wind's been so bad that I actually pulled the plug on a couple of trips last week. I just told them, like, man, I just have like a 1% confidence rate on today. You know, when we got wind 30 to 40 miles an hour out of the west and northwest and southwest. I'm like, man, this is the kiss of death for Mobile Bay.
That's a rough day to be out there.
That's right. If Captain Patrick's pulling the plug, he's canceling trips. You don't.
Hey.
Nobody should be out there.
Yeah, so we give you a little bit of feedback or rundown on what I did last week. Is we kind of had a little bit of fishing as far as on the boat, but Cooper was on spring break, so we spent a little time down at the beach down around Fort Morgan. So we did a little surf fishing and stuff, and one of those days where I had canceled the trip. It was so windy that it wasn't even worth being on the beach. Just to be hanging out on the beach, it wasn't even worth it. So it was pretty tough. But I'll give you my little beach report. We caught some pompano. We caught some whiting. Cooper actually caught a nice speckled trout on Fishbites and dead shrimp.
That's cool.
Which then had me motivated. One morning I didn't have a trip and the water was nice and calm. One of the days when it wasn't blowing. It was blowing out of the north, but the beach was calm. And man, I walked like a mile and a half throwing a slick lure in all the troughs, just knowing I was going to crush some trout that morning. Never got a bite, but it felt good.
Still good exercise, right?
Oh, Coop got the only rabbit out of the hat.
That's right. Yeah, Coop got the only speckled trout on that beach.
Yeah, but back on as far as on the boat side of things, been working around the north side of Fort Morgan and then really the entire eastern shore my last several trips, from all the way from Gulf Shores all the way up to Fairhope Pier area. And
what does the water look like on the east side, Pat?
It's not bad. You'll run into pockets where it's just terrible, but if you move around a little bit, you can find some decent water to even some really nice water and pockets of pretty good salinity. But man, you really got to have the stars aligned to have bait, clean water, and active fish all in the same zone. So you may get into a zone that just looks primo. There may be some mullet, and work your tail off to not even get a bite. But we have had some luck in the last couple trips where we did find some speckled trout. Our better bites and our better quality came on throwing top water and slick lures, trying to do some popping cork and shrimping and stuff like that, and just not really doing a whole lot on the trout game there. But the lure fishing has at least produced some decent trout. And the redfish kind of mixed in here or there. Like I'm kind of singing the blues on the redfish thing right now, man. It's been way more tough fishing for redfish than good fishing. And I really don't have any idea what to attribute that to. And then some of the other species we've been running across quite a few flounder. We've been running across some puppy drum. So nothing like barn burning, just tearing it up, and some sheephead as well in the bay that we found. So a little bit of everything, but you better be ready to kick different ideas around and throw different tactics at them. You better not just get your live shrimp and popping cork and go out there and say you're going to go out there and have a good day of fishing, because you may go out there and get like 2 or 3 bites. So throwing a little popping cork with some shrimp, maybe putting some shrimp on the bottom, which we ended up doing today, and putting some shrimp on the bottom, and ended up getting some sheephead. Popping corking did get us some puppy drum and redfish this week, a couple of flounder, but man, I would say if I had like quality or good quality artificial bait fishermen on my boat, I would probably not even take any bait. I'd probably just throw slicks, because we caught some nice flounder, caught some redfish, and some nice trout on slick lures. Man, you're not having to buy $5 a dozen, $6 a dozen shrimp, or wherever shrimp prices are now.
If you can find them.
Yeah, if you can find them. But if you want some diversity, having some shrimp on the boat is certainly going to help you with some diversity in species, and probably keep the rod bent a little bit more throughout the day.
Are you honing in on anything particular right now? As far as I know, we talked to the past couple of weeks, we talked to Captain Bobby, and he was trying to focus in on some grass on the bottom and some oyster shells, kind of a pre-spawn spawn deal. Are you focusing on anything in particular?
Man, as far as speckled trout, we found them on just pure sandy bottom. One day, just right on the edges of some schools of mullet. We found some up in some just gnarly, stumpy, rocky areas, just with like a lot of structure, places where we were going to try to catch redfish and drum and stuff. And then heck, the trout were in there, plus some flounder were mixed in. So
Why do you think the trout were mixed in there? What do you think was keeping them there?
man, I don't know. I mean, because
God,
They're tired of the wind too.
I mean, yeah. Hey, when the wind is blowing, I'm just trying to get where I can fish, and I take advantage of whatever freaking bites online. You know what I mean? So there's some days where I will gladly admit I don't know what the hell is going on, and we're just out there fishing, and I'm guiding and trying to do the best I can to adjust. On the fly. I mean, I'm constantly adjusting. And that was one of the things my customer today said. He was like, we started fishing with Patric a couple years ago, and the thing we liked about him and his wife have been chartering me, and they brought his wife's her brother this time. And he's like, the one thing I liked about Patric was, if we weren't catching anything in about 5 minutes, he was tying on something totally different and handing it to me, or he was trying it himself and just constantly adjusting and changing it. And they were like, we fished with other guides that handed us a rod, and we never changed anything about that one rod all day. Just fished all day. And they said, yeah, we could have success, but we really like the effort of constantly changing and trying to adapt. And man, that's all I can do. As far as once you're in it, especially on these windy days where you may be limited. You may only have 100 yards of shoreline that's somewhat protected and has some pretty water. So you got to really slow it down and kind of like I always say about the kayak guys. Those guys got to fish slower, got to be more methodical, maybe changing lures and tactics a little more frequently. And that's the mindset I take on when I can't just punch the gas and make a 8 mile or 10 mile change as far as where I want to go and fish. I mean, I just got to try to figure it out.
Yeah,
and
really pick an area apart.
Man, yeah, and that's been or you may find a shoreline that just sets up well where you can just make a long drift. Yesterday we had a shoreline where the wind was actually blowing down the shoreline, and I just kept the boat broadside. And when we pulled off of the shoreline to start headed back in, I looked at my drift, and we drifted like a mile, almost a mile and a quarter without stopping, just constantly fishing for over a mile. And we caught some fish kind of all through there. We poled down a few times, but it didn't really help us. We didn't sit there and whack a bunch of fish. So covering a bunch of water ended up being the name of the game for us yesterday.
That's what we call a grind.
Yeah, but the thing is I mean, we're catching some nice quality fish. I mean, some nice quality trout. Like I mentioned, the flounder thing. I mean, the flounder deal is, I mean, I'm hearing like guides on the east side and the west side of the bay both talking about, hey man, I'm like having some trip saving deals with flounder right now, and we're really appreciative of that. And
it's good to hear and see.
Yeah, we talked about that in another report earlier.
It's really fun to see. I mean, it's making me think there may actually be a real comeback. I mean, because that was the thing back in the day, pre 2010 or whenever we started seeing a decline was, we caught flounder while we were trying to catch redfish and
other
trout.
Stuff. Right. You weren't just trying to target flounder.
And if you wanted to stop and say, all right, and we're going to flounder fish, you could catch flounder. And I feel like with whatever's happening right now, if you caught one flounder incidentally, you could probably slow down and hit that area a little more thorough and really put together some decent, a decent mess of flounder. My dad's been catching them. He fishes a lot on the seawall up on the causeway. He's been catching flounder just about every day up there.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so it's really, really good to see. So I guess the shining light on the lackluster redfish bite is the flounder kind of filling a little bit of that gap. So
You seeing any jack crevalle on that side yet?
no, I haven't seen any sign of jacks or no jack activity. There's not a lot of pogies around, and I generally find those jacks starting to bust in the pogies, but no sign of those guys yet. Even in the schools of mullet down around Fort Morgan, I really hadn't seen any sign of them. But generally, I start seeing them in the bay where they're ready to feed and ready to eat pretty regular, kind of mid-May. We'll start catching one here or there while we're trout fishing, where they just come in and pop the cork, and all of a sudden you got 120 yards of line just zipping off your reel. So those will start showing up towards the end of this month and middle of May, and then they'll really start becoming more of a targetable species in the month of June, at least for me anyway.
Yeah, get that water temperature up a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And heck, I've got some people right now. They've been hitting me up about trying to find some holes in my calendar when they can go jack fishing this summer. So
nice.
It's a fun fish, man. To go out there. If we go prepared and we have the right tackle, I was listening to Beach Bum talk about catching them in 8 minutes off the beach.
That's what I was just about to say.
And that's a real realistic number if you're tackled right. Like I have some 6,000 series reels with some I think like 50 to 80 pound test rods and 50-pound braid. I mean, we can break their spirit if you really lay the heat to them. And that's the thing. I mean, I've heard guys talk about breaking the spirit of a tarpon, and you got to do it to a jack too. If you don't really lay into it, then you could fight them for 45 minutes, even on heavy tackle.
Yep.
But generally, if we can get them on that big tackle, we can get them in under 5 minutes or under 10 minutes. When they hit the small stuff, when we're trout fishing, that can be kind of ugly. It can go.
Yeah, those are small reels.
It can go 45 minutes, but I'll tell you what I did as far as my tackle is concerned. When I know the jacks are around, I tend to put up a lot of my 2000 series reels and go with more of my 4000 size, because I can put over 200 yards of braid on there. And I have literally had a guy hook a jack while we were trout fishing, and the thing take off enough line to where guys could stay fishing. And I just stay on the poles, the drag pulls off, and that guy sits there and fights the jack around the boat about 4 or 5 laps. When it comes through, we're like, all right, everybody get the lines in. They'll bring them in. The jack comes around, they throw back out, start catching trout again. So if you got enough line on your reel, you don't have to pull off and chase them. But if you got like 200 or 2,000 series reels with 80 or 110 yards of line, it's probably going to be you're either going to get spooled, you're going to have to chase them, or you're going to have to break it off. And the vast majority of my customers, they want to catch that big fish, regardless of what it is.
Oh yeah.
So
got to have a picture with that thing.
Yeah, when that joker starts screaming drag, they want to outdo their buddy who's been bragging about the 6-pound redfish that he's caught, and all of a sudden they hook a jack that's looking like it's headed for Mississippi. Then they're like, oh yeah, I got to get this thing in. And I don't want to. And having a lot of line on there for you to be able to work with, and not mess up other people fishing. But now sometimes the guys are all reel up and they want to enjoy their buddy or watching their buddy catch the fish.
Watching their buddy work.
That's right.
To each their own on that,
Yeah, for sure, man.
And sometimes they got to tag team them, Heck, I've had brothers have to just tag team, just fight it for 15, 20 minutes, and then another brother take over, and they fight it for 15, 20 minutes, and you get some green, get a green brother up there that's ready to strap it down with it. Yeah.
I had an older gentleman one time. He had to hand off because he thought he was going to have a coronary.
Oh,
He
Lord.
sat down. I started getting nervous. I was like, "Am I going to have to make a beeline to the dock?"
Here's some ice. Relax. Yeah, those things will make rubber arms out of just about anybody.
Oh my God, I have been noodle armed myself.
Yep. About shrimp. See any shrimps over there?
I have not seen a single shrimp. I was talking to Morgan, who owns Fisherman Discount down in Fairhope, and he's singing the blues. Like, he's like, man, we're scratching out a few here, a few there, a good day or a good night whenever they're catching shrimp. He said a 2,000 shrimp night or afternoon or whenever they're going has been a real banner day, and he's not real pleased with that. But he said it's kind of just the time of the year, and maybe the cooler weather, the consistent of the water just not warming up well.
Yeah,
maybe kind of holding things back. I've talked to some guides out of Mississippi, and they're saying the same thing with shrimp. They're not really seeing hardly any shrimp activity over there, even in the marshes. So I think everybody kind of along this coast is feeling it at the moment.
Yeah, I was surprised at the lack of. I've been fishing over the Mississippi Sound. I was surprised at the lack of shrimp activity over there, because normally you're starting to see it pick up this time of year.
Yep, same. I've been over there a couple times in the past 3 weeks, and very few.
Yeah, the only there was some bird activity around Fort Morgan. Man, it really looked like trout activity, and we got in amongst them. And
porpoises.
The only thing I could no, it wasn't dolphins or anything. Like, I don't know what was pushing the bait, but the bait that they were actually feeding on, finally saw them. It was some threadfin shad that they were feeding on. I don't know if there were fish underneath feeding on them and they were coming up wounded, but if they were, our offerings were not enticing whatever fish was down there.
Understand, man. Well, any day now they ought to be popping off. So keep looking forward to that, man. If we can let this wind die down anytime soon, that'd be great.
Yeah, we're going into a nip tide cycle now. I think Bobby made reference to this one time about a nip tide being kind of like a reset button.
Yep, nip flip. I think he called it the nip flip.
Yeah, I've seen it many times where you get into a period where fishing just kind of gets blah and doesn't get real great, and then you go into this nip tide and you're like, all right, man, this is gonna be it. It's gonna kind of suck through the nip tide, and then a lot of times with that change in the tide, with having that high tide in the morning, all of a sudden we're talking about all the fish we're catching. So hopefully that'll be the case starting early next week, coming behind this nip tide.
Yep, we'll see, man. We appreciate you giving the report this week. And if folks want to get up with you and book a trip, what's the best way to get in contact with you?
Uglyfishing.com. Go on there, click the book now, and you'll be able to see my calendar on there, and go on there and click whatever trip you want and book it. If you got any questions before you book, then give me a call or shoot me a text at 251-747-1554.
Awesome, buddy. We appreciate the report as always, and we look forward to hearing from you next time, man. Keep whacking them.
All right, boys. Y'all keep them tight.
See you, Pat.
That was another awesome report, and it was brought to you by Test Calibration. If your diesel has low power or is consuming excessive amounts of fuel, these are common signs that your turbocharger may need to be rebuilt. Don't waste your money online with the cheapest options where you get no support after the sale. Test Calibration has been selling and servicing diesel, turbochargers, and fuel injection systems since 1976. No matter if you're running a diesel in your boat, tractor, or truck, Test Calibration can help you. Contact them at 800-822-0057 or visit them online at testcalibrationdieselandturbo.com. And also brought to you by Fishbites. Whether you are hitting the sand with set rigs using the traditional scent strips for pompano or fishing the flats or marshes for speckled trout, redfish, and flounder, Fishbites has something for you. Family owned and operated in St. Augustine, Florida, they pride themselves on making reliably consistent fishing products for anglers of all ages around the world. Fishbites baits and lures are made with pride in the Sunshine State of the USA. Check out the full line of scented saltwater and freshwater baits at fishbites.com. And also, check out Fishing Chaos, Fishing Tournaments Near Me 2022. Have you been looking for the perfect excuse to get outside and spend some time fishing? PFC, the Fins Fishing Classic, is a regional fishing tournament that is raising funds for your local United Way and needs your participation. Virtual submission means you can fish from anywhere, anytime, and submit photos of your catch for judging. PFC will feature over $10,000 in prizes and giveaways for placing anglers. Don't miss your chance to win big by fishing the PFC starting April 9th. For more information, visit our site. That's PHINSFishingClassic.com or download the Fishing Chaos app. All right, Captain JL, we're going to head down and get our last, but certainly not least report of the week. I'm going to get a good surf report. Let's talk to Jordan Gooding with G2 Coastal. Welcome to the show, Jordan. How are we doing today?
I'm good. Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, man, no problem. We've been seeing some pompano show up.
Whiting.
Bunch of whiting. Yep, some good stuff happening off the beach from, all the way from Devar over to here. I've heard some pompano off Dauphin Island and Fort Morgan. Captain Patric Garmeson just gave us a little bit of a report from Fort Morgan. So just kind of walk us through.
Trout.
Yeah, speckled trout off the beach. Cooper caught the only one, though.
He's always going to get that one.
That's right. So kind of give us a rundown of what you've been up to, where you've been fishing, and what's been going on.
Well, I've been bouncing around from Orange Beach to Fort Morgan. That's typically where I fish most of the time, one or the other. And if we could just get this weather to cooperate for a couple weeks.
Amen. That's what everybody's singing.
I mean, the pompano are here. We just can't get consistent weather to get a consistent bite on them.
What do you think is going to set that off? Is it going to be the water clarity? Is it going to be the wind finally stopping blowing? I mean, you're saying they're here. What's the shining light coming?
We need clean water.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what we need. I mean, it's on fire over there in Navarre and Pensacola. The past couple of weeks, they've been slowly trickling their way over here. But what's happening is we get a day or two with a decent pompano bite. Then we get these midweek storms roll in, and it pretty much just shuts the bite off. And then another week comes, and then a couple of days before a storm, we get a good bite, and then the next storm hits, and it's just slowing us down a bit.
Yeah. So how are you having success right now? Are you looking for anything particular in this dirty water?
With dirty water, I mean, you're going to have to deal with hard heads. I mean, the catfish are going to be thick. There's just nothing you can do about it. But you still want to look for your transition points where you have shallow to deep water where those fish are just naturally going to run. You still want to target the same areas. You're going to have catfish there. There's just no way around it.
You having more success with fresh dead live bait or artificials?
For pompano, I've never really thrown jigs. That's the plan. Once we get some clear water, I am going to throw some jigs. But for the most part, I'm just throwing fresh dead shrimp or salted shrimp.
Yeah, I know this time of year, especially like you say with the dirty water and the turbulent water, throw on a slab of Fishbites. And if you're doing set rigs, just let her eat. I'm not much of a beach fisherman. I know we had the Bama Beach Bum on either last week or the week before, and he caught his PB 4.5 pounder on that jig. So that's a pretty cool story.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's a slob of a pompano. That's huge.
Yeah, that's a good one, man. So what else are you seeing on the beach?
Mostly right now, pompano and whiting. There has been the random sheep's head caught in the surf once in a great while.
What about the redfish?
So I got to a few redfish, not last week, but the week before. So they're still trickling through here and there. Not been seeing a ton of the black drum caught like we were a few weeks ago, but you still see one or two here once in a while.
Anything in particular on the whiting as far as bait goes? And how far? I know like I said, I'm not a great surf fisherman, but listening to the Bama Beach Bum over the years and Chris Fetche and them, those whitings seem to be really close to the shore.
Sometimes you can catch those whiting literally where that whitewash comes up on the beach. I mean, there are days where they are literally right at your feet.
Very cool. What do you like to use for that bait on those?
90% of the time I'm using shrimp as my go-to bait. It's just everything that we target in the surf will eat it. The other two bait options I do use is sand fleas and ghost shrimp.
Yeah, it sounds like ghost shrimp is pretty much gold any time of the year.
How are you coming across those ghost shrimp?
Well, I look for points coming off the beach that are real shallow water. And when you look in the water, you'll see what looks like ant hills out in the surf. That's the best way I can explain it, is just look for these mounds that look like ant hills. And then you just take your ghost shrimp pump, put it over there, give it a few pumps. You'll get a ghost shrimp come out, maybe two. After a couple pumps, if you don't have any luck, move on to the next mound.
So, man, talking about bait this time of year, anything else you're using to have success?
Yeah, to find the sand fleas are fairly easy to find. There's a couple different ways you can go about it. Once the water temperature gets warm enough and the sand there right next to the water, the wet sand where the waves wash up, the sand fleas will actually change the texture of the sand. I don't know how to really describe it. I can point it out to you, but the sand almost becomes like a rough patch when that water goes back out into the Gulf. Right now, I'm not really seeing those colonies up on the sand. So the way I'm finding my sand fleas right now, when you go into the water, you got that little dip, just a couple feet into the water where the waves just kind of groove that out.
Mm-hmm.
You can actually take your sand flea rake and scoop up that little lip there, and you can actually find several sand fleas right there right now.
Very cool, man. So you mentioned, the dirty water is pretty much the biggest burden to bear right now. What about floats? Are you a float believer, and do you like those in dirty water, or do you save those for clean water, or what's your thought process there?
I think the bright floats work better in dirty water. They're just more visible, gives the pompano and other sight feeders something to see in that dirty water. I will still use floats when the water cleans up, but I like to go with the more subtle, natural colors. I mean, you can still catch them on those bright colors, don't get me wrong. They still work, but I think the more subtle colors work a little bit better in the clean water.
Yeah, I wonder if those bright colors, do you see, you're talking about catfish being pretty prominent in the dirty water. Does a bright float in dirty water increase your incidental catches?
No, I mean, if the catfish are around,
You're just going to catch a
don't-
catfish regardless.
Yeah.
I caught my first hardhead of the year the other day, and I was like, oh, God, it's too early for this.
Starting already. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
man, just sounds like we need some winds to die down a little bit and need a little bit cleaner water.
Yeah, I think it's going to improve greatly next week. We get some cleaner water, maybe some decent weather, and I think the pompano bite is going to explode any day. So
awesome, man. Well, tell the folks kind of I know you said you kind of frequent from Orange Beach to Fort Morgan, but kind of tell folks where to get up with you if they want to book a trip and kind of what that entails.
yeah, you can look me up at Facebook, YouTube, websites, g2coastal.com. Everything's under G2 Coastal. Holler at me and I'll take you out to Orange Beach or Fort Morgan. And if you're staying in a rental house, I'll even take you right out front of your rental house. So
awesome, man. That's
make
hard
it
to beat.
easy on you.
Heck yeah, that's hard to beat. It's easy as it gets right there.
Easy button.
Yeah.
That's right.
Absolutely.
All right, Jordan, we appreciate the report, man, and we look forward to hearing from you next time, buddy. Be safe out there.
All right. Thanks, guys.
All right, folks, that wraps up another great segment. I'll take a quick minute and check out a few of this week's great sponsors. That segment was brought to you by Bahio Sunglasses. Want to catch more fish? Experience the clearest lenses on the planet with Bahio sunglasses. Because you'll see more, you'll catch more. It's as simple as that. Try on a pair at your local retailer or check out BahioSunglasses.com to witness the magic for yourself. Bahio is an independent, sustainable, carbon-neutral sunglass company based in New Smyrna Beach, Florida. Experience the clearest lenses on the planet with Bahio sunglasses. Try on a pair at your local retailer or check out BahioSunglasses.com to see for yourself. And also brought to you by Hilton's Offshore Charts. The days of heading out and blindly looking for good fishing areas are pretty much over. Don't waste time and money on fuel searching for fish. You need the most recent, highest resolution images to not only know where to go, but where not to go. The knowledge provided by today's technology is critical when planning an offshore fishing trip. Make the choice that professional captains all over the Gulf make and choose Hilton's Real-Time Navigator. The easy-to-use interface and excellent customer service will have you on the fish every time you go. Check them out at hiltonsoffshore.com. All right, Captain J.O., we got to do What Did You Learn before we get out of here today, man. What'd you pick up from today's show?
Well, it seemed like a common theme, but with the adverse weather conditions and the water quality issues, it seems like you've just got to stay agile and adapt and try different things. And, if you're only given a little small window of area to work, like Captain Pat was telling us, that you need to try everything you can in that window.
Pick it apart.
Yeah, pick it apart, try different baits, try different techniques. Just take what you're given when you've got these adverse weather days.
You don't have much choice, do you?
That's right.
Yeah, man, that's what I had written down over here too, was constantly adjusting. Pat said it. That stuck out to me for sure. I mean, sounds like you got to be on the fly. If something's not working in 5 minutes, change it up.
Absolutely. And, I'm not much of a beach fisherman, but learning some of that stuff about how to get some of your natural bait on the beaches, that was something pretty cool.
It's got to be a hot ticket, I would think. If you can get ghost shrimp and sand fleas this time of year, it's got to help your production, even if the water's not that great.
Well, I mean, I would think it'd only help your chances if the water quality's down, like we were hearing from those guys, and put a nice fresh live bait out there and maybe get that bite that you're chasing down for your the little tournaments going on down there.
Yep, definitely, man. There's several pompano tournaments going on and beach fishing stuff. We appreciate you sharing your knowledge about the Tripletail Championship, and that's going to be fun, man. I'm looking forward to fishing it. Looking forward to getting people involved. And
you're gonna have to break in the new rig on it.
Can't wait to get her in the water for sure. It's about that time. Yeah, like I said earlier in the show, man, last year I got on those couple nice ones and knew I had
That's
to
all it takes.
step up my game just a little bit.
I've had many a customers. They catch that first one. They're like, all right, I'm hooked. You know, sign me up for
What's next?
the next trip.
Yeah. So speaking of, man, tell us a little bit about Irish wake fishing and kind of what you specialize in. And
Okay, so Irish wake fishing, we fish mostly Mobile Bay and the Mississippi Sound. Fish most inshore species from sheepshead, speckled trout, redfish, all that stuff. Kind of do a little bit of specialization into tripletail. You know, when I built my boat a few years back, I made sure that I set it up for tripletail fishing. That's just something that's a passion of mine. That's why I started that tournament. That's just, one of my favorite fish to target.
Yeah, for sure, man. We appreciate you co-hosting with us today. Enjoyed it.
Well, thanks for having me.
All right, man, if people want to get up with you and book a trip, what's the best way to get in contact with you?
They can call me at 251-379-1420, or they can go to my website, which is irishwakefishing.com.
And don't forget to register for the Tripletail tournament. How did they find you on Facebook, and what's the website for that one?
So we're Tripletail Championship both on Facebook and Instagram, and the website for that is tripletailchampionship.com.
All right, folks, that was another great segment. This week, What Did You Learn was brought to you by Dixie Supply and Baker Metalworks. Dixie Supply and Baker Metalworks are proud to be your metal roofing headquarters for over 40 years. Save time and money by buying from the most reliable manufacturer on the Gulf Coast. Buy it today, pick it up today. With the addition of their new store in Cantonment, Florida, they now have 8 locations to serve you. Dixie Supply and Baker Metalworks, your metal roofing headquarters. That wraps up another great show, folks. Please subscribe, rate, and review wherever you listen to podcasts. If you'd like us to email you the podcast each week, just text the word fishing to 314-665-1767. Again, just text the word fishing to 314-665-1767. Subscribe to our email list, and we'll send you the new show each week. You guys keep whacking them. We'll talk to y'all next week. This week's Alabama Saltwater Fishing Report has been brought to you by Photonis Defense. Photonis Defense PD Pro Ultralight Ultra Compact Night Vision Systems. Simply the best in-class night vision systems ever built. Contact them at photonisdefense.com to learn more. Photonis Defense, Masters of Darkness. And also brought to you by KillerDock. KillerDock uses marine-grade aluminum to make fabulous fish cleaning tables and stunning canopies that will keep us out of the sun. KillerDock combines durability, function, and design to uniquely upgrade your entire dock experience. Visit killerdock.com to see more. Also brought to you by United Bank. United Bank supports our farmers with financial products and services designed specifically for agribusiness. United Bank is building stronger communities every day. All loans subject to credit approval. Equal housing opportunity lender, member FDIC.
This week's Alabama Saltwater Fishing Report brought to you by me, Angelo Depaola, The Coastal Connection. Find us online at thecoastalconnection.com.
And also by CCA Alabama. Catch a tagged redfish this summer and win a 2022 Nautic Star 215 bay boat with a Yamaha 150 horsepower motor and aluminum trailer package worth over $65,000 in the inaugural CCA Alabama Star Tournament. Sign up now at joincca.org/star tournament. And also brought to you by Foster Contracting, the fortified roofing professionals at Fortified Roofing Pros. With them, you're making the smart choice. Check them out at fortifiedroofingpros.com or call them at 251-447-2978. And also by Richardoni Family Dentistry. You're going to need a good dentist, so you may as well make an appointment with fellow angler Josh Richardoni. Call today to book an appointment at 251-342-6672. And also brought to you by Sam Stop & Shop. Sam Stop & Shop is your one-stop shop located at 27122 Canal Road in Orange Beach. Sam's has a little bit of everything, including a deli, inshore, offshore, and surf fishing tackle. They also have bait, clothing, groceries, name brand sunglasses, and so much more. Stop by and shop or call them at 251-981-4245 today. And also brought to you by Admiral Shellfish. Admiral oysters are available at select restaurants. They can also be purchased by the public at Bon Secours Fisheries, Inc. and Ahi Seafood in Fairhope, Alabama. Call for availability. From a simple, nutrient-dense appetizer at home or a shucking party with friends, Admiral oysters will steal the show. Follow their adventures on Instagram at Admiral Shellfish Co. And also brought to you by L&M Marine. L&M Marine has something for everyone, from small hunting boats, pontoons, as well as bigger bay hybrid boats for the hardcore angler. Go visit them at 34600 Highway 59 in Stapleton, Alabama, or call 251-937-1380. And also brought to you by the Alabama Marine Resources Division. The Alabama Marine Resources Division reminds all recreational anglers that gray triggerfish, greater amberjack, or red snapper must be reported through Snapper Check prior to landing the fish in Alabama. For more information about Snapper Check, please visit outdooralabama.com.